So over the last few months, we've improved a lot on our skills of editing, like on Final Cut, and obviously what we edited on. So we used cropping, obviously. So we would cut some of the shots in half if they were too long. You can't really have like long shots during a rock video, which is quite quick paced. So we'd crop the shots into like a few smaller shots and then place them along. Depending on where we think they've suited.
We also recentered a lot of our shots. So before we put them into the actual timeline, we would look at the shot and we'd think, does it need to be moved over a bit because like the framing might be wrong. The framing might not be right or something. So we would just use the little tools we've got on Final Cut, just to move it over slightly and then just either like bring it in or bring it out and like just make the framing a lot better.
I think that's what we did on the shot when I'm on the sofa and I've got my head in my hand. Obviously we cropped and we recentered that because there was a lot of empty space in that shot. We were gonna
overlay like a memory, but we thought it was really cliche and we decided not to.
So we got rid of that and we cropped it and we recentered it because there was a lot of empty space in the background, so we thought we'll do it so that there's still a bit there, so we can use like the rule of thirds and cut over the top of that.
We also use the scroll tool, so that really helped the lip syncing front because obviously the scroll tool only changes the one clip that you're changing, and it would put it behind the two that are next to it. So we found that really, really helped us with the lip syncing because we didn't have to change all of them, we could just change that one. That would have just taken way too long.
Yeah, I think with that it was also really difficult to just keep changing everything because every time we changed something, because of the format the camera used, we had to keep rendering our clip, which became quite tedious towards the end, but it had to be done. So using that scroll tool actually really helped because it only changed one clip, it didn't change all of them, so we then had to spend like 5 minutes rendering the whole thing. We also went on to use filters. So we added different filters over different things. So we blurred some stuff. We changed like lighting and stuff in certain ones. We used something called color corrector, which it can help you to like get rid of colors or increase white lighting or take out blacks and take out midtones, which was really helpful when we were trying to create different moods with different shots so that we could actually represent something.
We used a lot of saturation and contrast as well, so for our flashback scenes we brought down the saturation because it made it more dull and grey, whereas with the band shots we brought up the contrast a little bit just to make it a little bit brighter, bring out all the colours because it just enhances everything, whereas saturation de-enhances everything and
makes the audience feel the mood really.
And also it worked because with our feedback they knew what the flashbacks were for the contrast between the light and the dark.
We with the colour corrector, like Alfie said, we used that because obviously we used two cameras because we weren't actually sure if Megan's was compatible with the Mac. So like I said, we used both cameras. We found some shots that we did actually like on the other camera, but we had to match the shots from Megan's camera to the shots with the school camera. So we used colour corrected through that as well, didn't we?
Yeah, so even though it was like the same quality, it wasn't exactly the same colouring, so we had to change it so that it looked similar within the cameras.
One was more yellowy and then the other was sort of grey.
Bluey,
bluey grey,
Match and action is a thing we used more last year in our piece than this year. So
editing to the beat this year, wasn't it?
So match and action is like when someone goes to open the door, you see them about to open it, then you see their hand on the handle actually opening it and then the door shutting. But we didn't really use much of that this year. I think we were going to on the scene you walked out, but we felt it didn't work.
It didn't add anything to it, so we thought it wasn't
we didn't need to see his hand reaching for the door handle and stuff because then it sort of breaks away from the tension of him walking out on the girl and stuff.
You won't see her facial expressions if we switch to my hand, so it took away from her actually feeling down about what's happening. We tried to keep continuity throughout our whole piece, which was difficult, but we tried our best with obviously lighting and stuff. So if we did take saturation down on one clip, we tried to do that with every single clip to the same level so that it all roughly looked the same, instead of having one saturation which was basically black and white and then one that was like slightly dimmed reds and stuff, which was really helpful, as well as performance shots. So if we took a performance shot and we put it above something and we wanted to cut it into the thing, we'd cut certain sections and then put them down in the same position so that it had the same scene, but obviously it was chopping and changing, so it wasn't all one clip, so it didn't get too boring.
The lip syncing was probably the hardest bit of editing because we had to get it on point with the song. It was extremely hard. We spent most of our time using the scroll tool, using the crop tool, using everything just to try line everything up. Also, we shot loads of different shots, so there was like full ones of the band and then like ones of Alfie's face. So we had to sometimes, when the line finished, we'd quickly go to another shot and try to line that up so then the drumming looked the same as well, because it even...
that was the hardest bit, matching the drumming, because we were like, oh yeah, that's spot on, and then our teacher, who's a drummer, was like, no, that's way off, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, because like the beats to us, but I don't think any of us are actually tuned in to hear a drum beat when the rest of us, because I get distracted by the lyrics, to be honest, when I'm starting listening to beats and guitar strings. Like the guitar I think was harder than the drums, to be honest, because at least with the drum it was a hit. When you hit the drum with the guitar, I don't know what the link between the actual movement and the beat is.
We did short reverse shot with the narrative. We would so obviously for the argument scene, we would see both sides, both expressions, both what they were saying when we linked it to the lyrics, and we found that just sort of set the mood, sort of made the audience feel what the characters were feeling, made them just relate, really.
Yeah, it helped to get more of a connection between me and Megan during the scenes, I think.
We also use a lot of mid and close-up shots as well as side views. So like I was saying earlier about Alfie, where we cut from a full view of the band, which was mainly it was a sort of long / mid shot because it didn't have everything in it, but you could still see everything. Also, the side views of Alfie, of his, just him with his, it was about from there.
Yeah, probably it had like the
shoulder
rose
upwards.
On the,
you could see the rose, because we tried to get the rose in as much as we could.
I think that was one of the best shots with the band, to be honest. Gotta be.
Also close-up, so the close-ups of the guitar, which follows, like I said earlier, Queen, with their close-ups of their guitars and stuff. So we use many different shots, but these three, so the mid, close-up and side view, were the main ones we used throughout most of it.
Yeah, we also used like transitions, so we used fades, dissolves, like non-additive dissolve, and we also use audio fades to sort of set the scene. Like at the start, you see the band walking onto the stage, and we have like the natural sound of that, and it fades into the song, and the song fades in.
I think it just made more sense than having just silence at the start. It was just a bit weird having a clip, and then you can't hear anything, and then suddenly the song would be like, dun-dun-dun-dun. So it was easier to like manage
because it was quite an upbeat straight away,
definitely.
so we felt like it really flowed quite well
you needed something
doing
to
that.
make it work.
Yeah, and obviously with the fades, like if you cut it too much, it sort of just looks like
it's
completely changed. And we felt with the mellowness of the song, you had to have it flowing a little bit more than being like all over the place, like it would be for like a heavy metal song, for example.
Yeah, I feel like the fades helped with like the time changes as well. So like trying to make a difference between one scene and the other, so it helped to merge from one place to the other. It was really interesting.
Like if we did a heavier song, then maybe we would have kept it choppy rather than faded, but obviously ours was mellow, so we had to.
It's a lot easier. We also used something called markers. So towards the end of our song, they repeat the same note over and over again. So we put a beat marker on each repeat of the note so that we could change the song and change the clip, because we wanted to use editing to the beat throughout our thing, because obviously that was one of the requirements of the actual like exam board. So we used the beat markers to mark different points throughout the song, and when we wanted clips to change from one to the other, so that it made more sense.
We also put a montage in there. Like I was so set on this, I was like, we need to do a montage.
We ended up doing 2 in the end, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Obviously that's a convention of rock, some rock videos as well. And with the quick beat, we just wanted a montage in there because we thought it would look really effective, and it did. It did look effective.
It worked really well.
It did. So we felt like that sort of set the scene, like set the tension a bit. Like, oh my god, what's happening? Because that's when it speeds up and it gets a bit crazy, and it makes the audience feel a bit like, whoa, what's happening?
So the beat markers helped with that, because we were able to cut exactly where we wanted the clip to be, and then where we wanted the next one to be and stuff. So it really helped having those. in photography there's a thing called rule of thirds. So on your camera there's a box which is 2 lines down, 2 lines across, and it ends up being 9 squares. So while we were setting up the cameras, I had a look at most of them and set the rule of thirds a lot. So Alfie would be on one of the lines, in between,
top left cross.
in between one line and the other line. So it would be, his head would be right here. So it's better than having a straight on view. Having it like that, it angles it a bit better, the framing's better.
Yeah,
but
the position just looks good overall.
But then we did use recentering on some, just
because it was a little bit out when it actually got put onto Final Cut. We also used a rule called the 180 degree rule, which was mainly only between the actual conversations, because obviously with performance shots we could go right round, so it didn't really matter where we went, because you don't really follow where's your camera going to be when you do a performance section. But with our arguments we had to be on one side of the actual conversation, so obviously we can be looking at Megan this way and then suddenly have the camera on the other side looking at me, because it wouldn't match the side. It's like the wall from drama. We also looked at something called a 3-point edit and a 4-point edit. So a 3-point edit is putting a clip from the slug, so you put 2 markers on the slug on a certain clip, so a section that you want to take off, and you put a marker on the timeline and you drag the clip from the slug onto the timeline so that you could actually put it where you wanted it to. And a 4-point edit is more placing a shot into a space, so stretching a clip or shortening a clip, putting it into a specific area that you want it to be in.
If you stretch it, it makes it slower, so it slows it down. Whereas if it's a small gap, it quickens it up.
Yeah, I think we did that on a couple of shots.
Yeah,
we did that a lot for the lip syncing.
And the montage when we wanted it to be really quick, little shorts.
Yeah, definitely.
We also used overlayering and opacity. So the shot with Alfie's watch and the rose, we overlaid that because we just thought it was really like it was powerful. The time was going by on this relationship, which is like,
and the rose symbolises their relationship. So putting those two together it worked really well.
Yeah. So it's sort of like showing the audience that time's running out on their relationship, like it's about to end.
Yeah, and I feel like we did that with the montage sequence, with the slow montage sequence. So we did like, even though we didn't overlay clips, we faded them into each other. I know that is a fade, but we did it as slow as we could so that it would sort of transition from one clip to the next clip to the next clip, so it looked a lot smoother.
And stuff,
Which was really good.
So we also used Facebook to communicate with Scar, which is the band we got the song off. So Alfie did a lot of communicating with them, asking if we could use the song and everything. They were really friendly. They're like, of course you can, and all this. And then I communicated with the performance of the group. So I was messaging as many people as I knew that could help, that looked right.
Once we got the group, we made a group chat, didn't we, to arrange all the details and.
So we all spoke in that, and it's easier than writing an email to them because. It's no one our age.
We did actually
like
do
we're
that
not
at one
really
point.
formal, are we?
We did send an email, but then the email that I was given by them, it didn't actually go through for some odd reason. I don't know if it was an old email or something that they put up on their website, but it didn't go through, so we did resort back to going onto Facebook because it was just an easier way to link us to them and they replied quicker. Phoning venues took probably about 2 weeks, to be honest. It was quite a long time to actually find a venue because everywhere was so expensive.
You also went to visit a lot.
I visited about 3, I think, and we went to I talked to Southwood Park, and it was something like £600 just for one day, just to book their cellar bar or their black room, which was extortionate, and we clearly couldn't pay that.
Yeah, they were quite understanding. They were like, we understand your college students, but we can't charge any cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. So like they actually referred us to the place that we went to visit, which was the Acoustic Couch. So the Acoustic Couch didn't actually have a phone number, so I had to find it in Bracknell, and it's in like this weird
it was really
secluded area underneath the car park. So I was like, okay, I don't know where it is, but I went to look for it, and I stumbled across it when I was actually walking home from work one day, and I was like, okay, I'll go in then. So I went in, and Jody, the manager of the place and the actual owner, gave me his number, and he left it all up to me, to be honest. He was absolutely fantastic. He said that
the venue was perfect.
It was perfect. It was amazing. And he said that he didn't, obviously because there's moral things that he had to go through because we're college students, so he doesn't want to charge us extortionate amounts because we are college students. And I was like, okay, how do I set a price that's fair on him but fair on me, because that's a lot of pressure for me to be under. So I went back to him and I was like, would it be alright if we did it for around £60-70? And he said that £60 was absolutely fine.
It was £20 each, so
Yeah.
it worked out really well for
Yeah,
each of us.
and then I also paid an extra £20 on top for the mechanic, which was really lovely. And
the good thing about that place is there wasn't anyone in there, and if people did come in, they saw what we were doing. They were quiet.
Yeah,
And
they just came in for a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was a nice environment. We ended up staying there for a bit, didn't we?
Yeah, we ended up having lunch with them.
Yeah. It was really nice. It was a good venue and stuff.
Yeah, and they even said that they wanted us to come back after we'd finished and actually show them the clip.
We also went on the internet to find venues, but not just that, like we went on the internet to find the lyrics as well.
Yeah.
Because we tried to transcribe them and there were just certain points where we just could not understand.
Definitely. I think it's because it was a recent thing after we transcribed the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't find it on the internet, and then
Yeah.
a few weeks later we found it and we were like, okay.
Literally, I think I just wrote the song in Google and it just popped up. I was like, oh, okay, that was actually really easy.
That was a lot easier.
Because we did have a song before which we couldn't find a downloadable source for it.
Just because they sold it to an Italian band.
Yeah, and I couldn't find lyrics for that one, so I just assumed that I wouldn't be able to find lyrics for this one either, but I just gave it a go one day. We asked Scar, and I think they said they would send it to us, but I found the lyrics quickly anyway. But yeah, we also went on the internet to find venues.
What was that nightclub one that you actually looked into in Camberley, I think?
What's it called again?
The Agincourt.
Agincourt.
In next to
we were going to call them up, but we thought that maybe a nightclub type scene was a bit too
And there was a lot
punky.
Yeah, there were a lot that weren't open during the day, which is when we needed to.
I think we did call them, but they said that we couldn't get through because they weren't open until like 7 or something.
Yeah, they said if we wanted it, it would be 7, and then so we looked online, couldn't really find prices online, so that's why we had to call up. But yeah, we just looked at inspiration through the internet as well.
I think that's why the Acoustic Couch was so good, because it was a community centre. It wasn't actually like a bar or a club or anything. It's an arts community centre, and they do have a bar, but it's for everyone. So it was a lot easier to go during the day because it's actually a cafe as well. So they're completely everything, and they had all these spare rooms in the back that we could use for like photo shoots and stuff, which was really interesting. Like massive containers that we could take photos in front of, which was really good. We also used a blog, so we used WordPress, which was really helpful, obviously, because we had to produce a blog, and it is amazing.
It's just basically the progress of how we decided our ideas, how we
like the research and then the planning and then the production. It was like obviously the categories on it. It helped to break down everything that we needed to put onto it, which is fantastic.
Like, it was a log of our journey, or of our project, basically.
We used 2 different cameras, so we used a Canon HD-V40, which is the school's camera, but we also used my Canon 700D that I mentioned earlier. It's more recent, more high-tech than the school one, but we decided to use both because we didn't know if we could upload the footage from mine. We could, but even though it took a while because we had to keep rendering everything, the quality was a bit better on my camera. And we just thought, even if we use both, we can then we had
more
2 sets of,
we had more option really with the shots. So like if we did mess up on from one angle, at least we had the other camera that got the same shots from the same angle. Even though we obviously did use Megan's camera, and we use it's SD cards, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we used SD cards to take all of the actual footage onto. We used tapes for our the school's HDV40. Obviously in actual media they do use tapes because it's easier for them to actually take the footage off of that and break it down into different sections. So it helped us a lot to actually put it into what a media group would use and what we should be using.
We also we used the school camera to film the animatic, and then we, like Alfie said before, we put it on Final Cut. We edited it in the way that we wanted the actual video to be. So just sort of to give us a guideline. Not that we didn't completely stick to it because we had more inspiration as we started filming, but I think we followed that actually a little bit like that.
Yeah.
We used our studio lights that we use in photography. They are bright, and when we were at Alfie's house, we filmed a lot last year at yours, and we ended up having to refilm because the lighting was too dark. So we felt this year we would take the lights straight away, set them up, so one was on my face, one was on Alfie's face. And then when we were at the venue, they had all their own lights. That's when we used the blue lights, the red lights, so it matched the convention, then also matched our digipack and stuff.
Yeah. There was also like a sound system at the venue, so we could, like, it was easier for Alfie to lip sync.
Yeah, even though we didn't
having the song there. Yeah, we didn't know how to use it. It was so lovely of them. The sound guy that works there came in for us. He was called Frenchie.
Yeah.
And he would have usually charged
about £80.
£80, yeah, and he literally just asked us for 20, and he was with us for the whole day.
That's fantastic.
Did anything that we asked him to do. He would stop and play it when we wanted. He would turn it up, turn it down.
Yeah, he did all the lighting. He set everything up for us, and we took photos in as well of like what we thought we wanted our thing to look like in our actual video, and he just made his lights on that system look like what we wanted it to look like, which was fantastic. He just listened to us completely. Obviously, because we had to play the song, we also had to import it and download it from the internet, which took a long time. Because obviously I have an iPhone, so there's a lot of steps. You've got to like download it from the internet, and you've got to upload it onto iTunes and then transfer it to your phone, because they don't sell their songs on iTunes, so I couldn't just buy it and download it. I had to take it off of YouTube. But overall, I think we've learned so much doing this topic. Obviously we knew a lot from the last topic when we were editing, but from this one it's developed our
There was a lot
ideas,
more to do, a lot more different tools to use.
A lot more challenging.
Yeah.
Like the lip syncing was so challenging.
It was a lot more fast paced than what our original topic would be last year, so it was a lot easier to like cut and change everything, which was really interesting as well.
Last year our video was very slow.
Yeah.
Yours was as well. Was yours on slow?
Yeah, ours was quite tense.
Because we both did psychological thrillers, because last year Abby was not in the group with Alfie and I. She was in another group, but we all did psychological thrillers, and they were all slow, and like there was a lot of slow motion, and whereas this year's was so fast paced.
Yeah, there was a lot more pressure, wasn't it, to like get it done, because it was a lot more clips that we had to condense into one thing.
There are also so many like guidelines from the exam board, like beat markers, cropping on the editing on the beat, and cutting shots fast paced.
How it should be.
Yeah, I think overall, considering we've never done a music video before, I think we did really well.
Yeah.
Really well.